hi everyone, and thanks for visiting the channel. My name's John Lloyd, and today I wanted to talk to you about an experience I had on a recent group ride that I did, my very first group ride, and some of the things that I learned as a new adventure bike rider, and I think that these things might help you. So stick around because I'm going to share with you 5 tips that might help you progress your riding. So since I bought this bike, my KTM 890 Adventure R, this is a 2023 model, I've watched countless videos on adventure bike riding, and they're on all types of terrain, you know, whether it's loose, wet, steep, rocky, whatever it might be. And one of the things that I'm struck with is, for the most part, those people are experienced riders, been doing it for a long time, and they kind of make it look easy. So I just wanted to share with you my experience on a recent ride, you know, from someone who's just sort of come off a 250 onto something like this, and what I learned from that. So stick around, I'll tell you all about it. Now, I wouldn't call myself an inexperienced rider. I mean, I've been riding bikes for years. I used to race motocross when I was a lot younger, and in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, I've had 250s, 300cc EXC bikes. I had a WRF 450, which incidentally I sold because I thought it was a bit heavy, and this is what I'm on today. But I think transitioning from a lightweight 2-stroke bike onto something like this is a bit of a paradigm shift when it comes to, you know, bike handling. And I learned quite a bit over the last sort of 3 or 4 rides about the things that I need to know. And this comes along from talking to people as well. So I guess what I wanted to share with you is a few things that I've learned, and a couple of them are sort of no-brainers. But the first one would be, certainly when you're riding a bike like this, is make sure you turn off the ABS. So on the ride on the weekend, there was a lot of loose gravel, and I didn't actually realize until sort of about 10 minutes into the ride, because there was a bit of road section and we were just going over the brow of a hill on some really loose gravel, and as I went over the other side, I started braking, and of course the ABS kicked in on the back, and this can be quite dangerous. So first tip is, don't forget to turn off your ABS. So the first ride I did on this bike, actually, it was, I sort of called it a bit of a shakedown ride, was to sort of check out all my camping gear, make sure I had all the stuff. I'd booked a campsite, so, you know, I knew that if I had a few bits missing, I was sort of somewhere I could go. Plus I got a hot shower, which was great. So that was the first ride I did, and getting down there is to a place called Collie in the southwest of here. I'd plotted a course sort of down the back way. I didn't just want to bomb straight down on the highway. I was on some fairly wide and well-travelled gravel roads that are used by vehicles, you know, to get from town to town. So I wouldn't call them gnarly by any stretch, but they were certainly loose gravel. And one of the things I experienced when riding this was what I found rather unnerving, was actually the steering was wallowing on the gravel, and this sort of caused me to sit down and slow down as well. And all sorts of things went through my mind as to what might be causing that. You know, I'd even considered, you know, is it the forks? I mean, I haven't actually properly set up the compression and rebound on this. What could it be? But I've since found out that, you know, in talking to people, and there's a myriad of people, and this group ride on the weekend certainly helped. You know, it really comes down to tire pressures. And, you know, one of the things that I did on the most recent ride was actually let my tires down for the off-road riding down to about 24-25 psi, and that made a huge difference. So on this group ride, and I have ridden with a number of people before, but not a proper organised group ride, there were about 15 riders on this. I think there's this perception that you have to sort of keep up a certain pace and go fast. You know, I'll add that that's not an expectation, that's just the perception that some of us have to get. And I think that's sort of that competition spirit that comes out from us. But I guess in doing so, what that forced me to do, or at least encouraged me to do, was to go a little bit quicker. So those fears that I had on riding that first trip, particularly after letting my tyres down a little bit and also getting this front wheel balance, which was considerably out of whack, made a huge difference. And that's something that I found on that, is that riding in that group, and also the fact that there's people around you, not necessarily right with you, gives you that sort of sense of security that were something to go wrong, there's people around. So yeah, I think that's something that encouraged me as well in riding in a group. So I'd encourage you, if you're not doing that yet, find yourself a club or a group of riders, a Facebook page, which I did, and just go along to one of those rides and have a go. So the second thing that I just wanted to share with you, and I'm sure it's something that the majority of us are aware of, is to spend more time standing up. You know, stand up, get your weight over the handlebars. You'll just find that the bike will actually be much better handling. You can move it around a lot more than if you're sitting down. You know, you'll feel those bars moving around, particularly in that loose gravel. So second tip would be, make sure you practice standing up, and stand up for as much as you can. You know, and if you've got your bars set up right and your levers in the right place, you know, that should be fairly comfortable for you. So yeah, that's something I learned. And I'm still plonking my butt down on the seat every now and again, but just getting used to standing up a bit more, particularly on this heavy bike. Now, I think that's something that we should consider. So the third thing, so you'll probably hear a number of people tell you this, and particularly people that have been riding for a number of years and have got their confidence up and, you know, really know what they're talking about. And that is, they'll say to you, particularly when riding on loose gravel or sand, is to just power through. So, you know, because of this speed that I was carrying, or slightly higher speed that I was carrying when riding in a group, because my confidence level was up and that sense of competition, that's exactly what I did. You know, I was standing up, giving it a little bit more, maybe using third gear, 60, 70 k's an hour through some of the looser stuff. And I actually found that was actually quite comfortable and actually quite enjoyable. So that's my third tip, basically, is just to, as they say, power through.
The other thing is, when I first got this bike, and I haven't put the video up yet, but when I first got this bike, I was super nervous about riding on loose gravel, and I wasn't sure what it was at that point, whether it was the forks, you know, the suspension, or letting a bit of air into my face, whether it was the suspension or whether it was, well, I immediately put it down to the forks. But you quickly learn that tyre pressures are important. So I'm running the right tyre pressure now, or at least a lot closer to what it should be, around 25 in the front and the back. I'm standing up more, and also I had the front wheel balance, because the day I picked this bike up I took it out for a bit of a run. It's got a function, so it's got a heavy duty tube in the front and a fairly heavy duty tyre on it to my test, and I took the wheel into the balance yesterday and it was significantly out of balance. So I think all of those things sort of add up to a much more enjoyable sort of ride. If I sit down, I can feel it following a little bit in the bars, but as soon as I stand up, all that goes away. So, and then obviously the other thing is just as all the pros and the excitable ones tell you, just power through it. So you'll occasionally get a little, ooh. So there you go.
The fourth thing that I wanted to share with you is not really a tip as such, it's more just a piece of advice, and that is, it's okay to be cautious. You know, no one's out there pushing you to go faster and faster. It's really how you feel about your comfort level, you know, and it comes down to risk versus reward. But what I would say to you is, ride within your own limits, get used to the bike, you know, and it's okay to be cautious. And again, riding with other people tends to lift your skills and makes you a little bit more sort of willing to take it to that next level. So really that's my fourth tip or piece of advice, is to say, it's okay to be cautious. It's okay to be nervous. And, you know, at my age, I am a little bit more nervous than I used to be. So yeah, it's okay.
The other thing is, as well, it's bloody dusty today, so I'm trying to hang back a bit, but obviously my superior off-road skills are making me catch up really quick. Not really. Oh, here's the sandy bit. Oh, just as I was talking about it. That's exactly what I was meaning, but that's sand anyway, so that's just at the bottom of that gully. So we got through that. Well, this is a bit looser. I take back everything I just said. Not really. But this is all about skills building and confidence building, whilst in the relative comfort of riding with a group, although you can't see many of them apart from one in front. Should anything untoward happen, which touch wood won't, but this is very loose, this section through here. This, yeah, I shouldn't have said anything. See, now I want to get over to the other side of the road, but I can't. Oh, fuck, sleep up. Right. See, I don't like that. Well, the old heart's going a bit now.
I guess the fifth and final thing that I wanted to say was practice. You know, the old saying is practice makes perfect. Just keep getting out there, just keep getting yourself some experience, ride with more people, try different terrain. You know, still take it easy, but I think the more and more that you do this, you know, if you're worried about the fact, you know, did I make the right decision to buy a big bike, which I certainly did, you know, I think I'm kind of getting over that now and know that there's, you know, the more that I do this and the more that I practice, the better I'm going to get at it within, you know, the limits of my own capability. As I said before, you know, I've ridden a lot of bikes, but this is a heavy bike. So, you know, I think it's a different feel. And the more that you get used to it, a big ride, I mean, I've done a couple of big rides on this, a couple of 800-kilometer rides and, you know, a lot of that on the road, but you know, you start to feel a little bit more at one with the bike. And then if you start mixing into that, the different terrain, just keep getting out there. The more you get out, the better it will be. That's my fifth tip, is to practice, practice, practice. So get out there, practice, have some fun and be safe. And hopefully I'll have another video up soon. Thanks for watching.